Have you ever felt like you're walking through life's challenges alone, even when you know there is something greater out there? Many of us sense the presence of spiritual beings, guides, angels, ancestors, but aren't sure how to connect with them. The truth is, you don't have to navigate this journey by yourself. In this episode, we'll explore how to call on spiritual beings for support, clarity, and healing. Whether you're facing uncertainty, seeking guidance, or simply want to deepen your connection with the divine, learning to invite these energies into your life can transform the way you move forward. So let's dive into the practical and mystical ways to open that door and receive the help that's always been available to you. And today I have an amazing expert. Her name is Cheryl Stelte. Cheryl Stelte is a spiritual coach, master healer, speaker, and best-selling author. As the founder of the Star of Divine Light Institute and the Azarius Energy Healing Certification Program, she empowers mature women to break free from blocks, gain clarity, and step into their authentic power. With over 30 years of experience in energy healing and spiritual leadership and coaching, she helps women live with purpose and confidence when nothing else has worked. Welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Dimple. I am really thrilled to be here.
And I'm very thrilled because myself because this is the first time ever that we are talking about spirits and angels and guides, and I would love for you to start by sharing your story on what led you to this path of working with spiritual beings and helping others connect with themselves.
All right. Well, I grew up Catholic, like many people, either Christian, went to church, received all the sacraments. And it was after my first marriage ended. I left my covert narcissistic husband. Nobody knew what that was back then. He was also an alcoholic, that was known. And I was a single mother of two kids. And I remember I was on the beach with my friend doing kinesiology on me. Now at that time, so I'm 63. So that was 31 years ago. Yoga was just becoming a thing. Yoga
Mm-hmm.
was just starting to take up space in North America. Meditation was not widely spread, nothing like it is today. So she was doing kinesiology on me. She was studying kinesiology. And she kept saying, and I'm laying on the beach, we're waiting for the tide to go out on Vancouver Island to go and pick oysters. And she kept saying things like, oh, it's your aunt, it's this person. And she would clear, and she was just doing muscle testing and all this. And suddenly there was this ball or this sphere of white light hovering above me. It was like the size of a basketball. And it was filled with and radiating the most love I have ever felt in my life. It was amazing. And I suddenly became aware it was my deceased brother's spirit. So
Wow.
tears are just rolling down the sides of my face with this love. It was incredible. I remember it like it was yesterday. And so my friend is carrying on with her thing, and then she says, "It's your brother." And then she said, "He's here." And I said, "I know." And then she channeled him, and she had never channeled a spirit before, ever. And the long and the short of it was his message to me was to start meditating. And
Wow.
what I didn't realize at that time, I can look back at it now, I was suffering from severe depression. And my doctor, that was an in thing at that time where people were discovering that depression was a thing and that you could take medication for it. So my doctor did a test on me. I had to fill in all these forms, and he said, "Cheryl, you're severely depressed." And and I felt horrible. I felt like there was something, seriously wrong with me. And I had all this self-judgment. So I was taking the medication. And what I soon discovered was through the meditations that I started doing, I was able to get off the antidepressants within 3 months and stay off them forever. And I thought I would way rather meditate every day than stay on that medication that gave me headaches.
Wow, that is amazing. So I just want to remind the listeners, I hope that you all remember the tagline of the show, which is metamorphosis, not medication. So,
Yeah.
Cheryl, thank you for saying that. And that's amazing. So, your brother came just to help you out as your guide, right? Okay. Now, I need to also ask you this. Was there a particular moment or experience that really solidified your belief in spiritual beings after this incident?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I had also connected with other family members, my uncle, my grandmother. I went through a phase where my grandmother, her spirit was coming to me a lot to help me trust myself,
Mm-hmm.
to help me really trust my inner knowing. And it was an incredible time. And I was teaching meditation in Vancouver, and I was, doing some healings on people, and and then I had this one student who wanted private classes with me because her anxiety was just through the roof. And she couldn't sit in a group and meditate together. It was too hard for her. So we were having private sessions. And her mother was visiting from Edmonton. So she texted me and asked me if her mother could join us for the meditation session. I said, sure, why not? If you're comfortable with that, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So then a couple days before the session, she says, my mother would like to know if you would do a spiritual reading for her. And my intuition said, just say yes. I said, okay, yes. I didn't know what she meant by a spiritual reading, but I knew I could help her. That was it. So they show up and we're going to start the class. And then I said to the mother, oh, and you would like a spiritual reading. Can you please tell me what that means to you? And she said, oh, I want to talk to my deceased mother.
Mm-hmm.
And the human ego part of me was like, oh my gosh. But my inner knowing was, yeah, just say yes, no problem. I was like, whoa. So I hadn't done this so much for anybody else. Sometimes when I would do healing sessions, deceased loved ones would show up, but I had never done it to this level. So the stakes were kind of high. The pressure was sort of on. So we do the meditation class, and then I start to do the reading, and I'm sitting there, and Queen Elizabeth shows up, or this woman that looks like Queen Elizabeth of England. And she's got this cane she's tapping, and her white gloves and the whole matching hat and the matching coat. And I kept trying to push her away and she wouldn't go. And that I trust. If I try and push something away and it keeps coming back, it's real. So I said, did your mother look like Queen Elizabeth? They both started laughing and they said, she looked like Queen Elizabeth. She loved Queen Elizabeth so much. She dressed like Queen Elizabeth and she wanted us to call her Queen. And I said, oh my gosh, well, she is here. And the wonderful thing, whenever I've been asked to call in spirits this way, it's usually because there's some unfinished business. So the daughter, not the granddaughter was at peace with the grandmother passing, but the daughter hadn't spoken to her mother in 10 years, and the mother had suddenly become chronically ill. So the daughter flew out to see her and didn't have much time to spend with her. She was on her deathbed. And so the night she died, she had crawled into bed with her mother in hospice and told her that she loved her. And I still have goosebumps right now when I remember what happened. And Queen Elizabeth, Queen, the Queen, the real mother, said, um, No, I didn't hear you say that. But as soon as I left my body, I saw you and I felt it. So
Wow.
and we all burst into tears, all three of us, and we just cried at the beauty of it, at the beauty of the moment and the love that filled the space. It was so powerful. And so they talked a little more, and the granddaughter had some questions about her anxiety and about their lives. And then we wrapped it up. But it was and ever since then, that was the first time where I was just sort of put on the spot to do that. And since then, I've helped others speak to deceased loved ones, and there's always a message of love, always. And I have another story. I don't know if you want to hear it, but yeah,
I
they
want to
will
hear it.
come.
I want to hear it because, here is I feel you and I have a similar path. When I went into the clinic where I used to teach yoga at, I used to have my yoga students come in like one-on-one sessions, but then their deceased loved ones would also come in. I don't think I've publicly admitted this on the podcast yet.
Wow.
So they would come in, and then I would be like, oh my God, I thought I'm a yoga teacher. How come these diseased loved ones are coming in? And I would tell my teacher at that time, I'm like, teacher, what do I do? I don't know how to do this. Like, why are these beings coming in? And then he would say, Dimple, you have the capability to connect with them. Start connecting. And then somehow in meditations, exactly your story. We would do a meditation, they would come in and they would just show up randomly. And I did not understand back then. But whatever you're saying makes total sense because that's exactly what my experience was with my clients. Randomly, they would come in and then I would just put on the spot and I had all this pressure. And my ego would be like, you cannot do this. You just know yoga. But then part of the soul knows the truth. Our soul knows much more than what we have learned in this lifetime. So I love that. But yes, please tell me your second story.
It's so wonderful and it's so inspiring. And I feel so less alone. You're the first person I've ever met who's had a similar experience.
Yes, till this date. And you know what? I'm not openly saying this, but I think today is the time. I am a medium. I like to connect with my clients. And if anyone shows up, I will help you just like you do, Cheryl. I do the same, but I don't openly advertise it because I'm like, maybe I don't need to do this openly. But I think part of me and part of my soul tells me, why? You just gotta admit it, do it, and help other people because there are so many people that need healing, especially from the other realm. So I feel like I've found someone who is much more experienced than I am. So I'm very excited about your next story.
And I don't say it publicly either. And I know why. It's
Yeah,
because of all these societal constructs. And there's this, who do you think, I'll speak for myself, who do you think you are? And the what will people think?
correct.
And none
Same
of
thing.
that matters.
Yeah,
None of that matters. And so, yes, it's okay to be a medium and we don't have to hang the shingle because we're so much more.
yeah.
It's just a part of it. I have a quick little story. It was in 2013, 12 or 2013, Christmas. I go back to Alberta, Canada, to Edmonton to spend Christmas with my family. And it's Christmas Eve, and we're going to go to the farm, and I'm staying at my daughter and her husband's place. And my brother is coming with us, one of my other brothers, and he calls to say he's going to be half an hour late. And it's like, oh, I don't want to just sit here. And I had a very short meditation because they wanted to have coffee and, eat breakfast and all that in the morning. And so I wanted to spend time with him. So I thought, I'm going to go upstairs in my room and meditate. So I go up there and I start meditating, and my cousin's deceased husband shows up. And he's
Mm,
telling me all these things he wants me to say to my cousin for him, all these wonderful, I've always loved you. I love you so much. I'm with you all the time, all these things. But I'm thinking that whole side of my family, my dad's side, they all think I'm weird because I meditate and do all this spiritual stuff. There's no way and I'm saying, John, I cannot say that to Cindy. She's going to think I'm crazy. And he gets down on his knee, his spirit, and he's like, please, Cheryl, it's so important to me that on Christmas Eve for Christmas that she knows this.
Oh,
Finally, I'm like, okay, John, all right. So I get to the farm, and it's the old farmhouse my grandmother and grandfather built. So after I'm there a while, I said, hey, Cindy, I said, I have something to tell you. And she said, oh, what is it? And I said, let's go downstairs. So I told her everything. I pre-qualified. I said, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, all these things. And then I told her, and she said, she put her hands on her heart and she said, Cheryl, you have no idea what that means to me. She said, I've been going into town once a month and I'm paying a psychic who tells me the same things, all the same words from John. And she said, it just means so much that he came and said all the same things through you.
wow.
Yay. And we just had a huge hug and she got all teary-eyed and everything. And so yeah, it was
That's beautiful. Now you should tell her, hey, Cindy, now you got to pay me for my sessions. Don't pay the psychic anymore. I'm here. So as you're sharing these stories, I'm thinking from a beginner's mind. I'm thinking, for someone who isn't spiritual or feels skeptical, how would you explain the idea of connecting with spiritual beings?
let me explain. Number one, if you don't believe, don't even bother trying.
Yeah.
That is number one. And what happened that time when I was really put on the spot, that first time with that woman's mother, I believed. I was in touch with my intuition and God in the universe enough that it's going to happen. So it's simply believing that it can happen is the most important thing. And so what happens when we don't believe? Well, those are some things we have to do some self-reflection around. And it's often our own conditioning. It can be wounds that we've had from the past. That time when I connected with my brother on the beach, when my father found out later, he just denied it 100%. No, that didn't happen. No,
Mm.
absolutely
Mhm.
did not happen. And what he said went. And so that's the kind of conditioning I had, that sort of thing doesn't happen. And so it's within yourself, finding within yourself what is holding you back from believing. What are your subconscious blocks? What are your subconscious beliefs? What are your subconscious woundings? And it's sort of like we can't see as a soul in a human body how we have agreed to, we have agreed to all the conditioning from our culture, from society, the world, as a man, as a woman, as LGBTQ, whatever, as a daughter, all this conditioning that we can let all that drop away and uh, and find that we can believe. And it's really learning to trust yourself in your own experience first so that you can get to that place. And I'll give you an example. So I have a number of programs, and my highest level program is a 9-month program. It's the higher state program. So I have these clients I've worked with before, and one of the things I teach is chakra readings.
Mhm.
So they're all kind of wondering in the beginning, like, am I really going to be able to do this? And there may be some self-doubt and that sort of thing. But then when it came time to do it, it was so easy for them. It was so easy. And they're all getting all this information. And they all said, we see how you led us to this place slowly. You introduced different aspects to break down those barriers to who we truly are and who we are as a whole, the oneness of all of us. So believing is fundamental, and we eventually realize that there really is no separation. We are all one. Spirit, us, we're all the same. We are one being with God, source, the universe, creator. So believe first.
Exactly. Very cool. What would you say to people who are curious, but they feel afraid to open themselves up to this kind of experience? I've had a lot of those clients. Like they know I do the work, but then they'll be like, "Oh, but I'm just scared. I'm so fearful. I'm so fearful." And I'm like, "Hold on, it's okay." Because for me, and I'm sure for you, it's easy to connect. But for people, they are like in this fear state, maybe because of movies, maybe because of the things they're seeing at Halloween. They have this fear mentality that, oh, the spirit is gonna come and haunt them in the night. So what would you say to them?
Well, if you have a fear that a spirit is going to come and haunt you in the night, it will,
It will. Exactly. I say the same thing. I say the same
right?
exact thing. Yeah.
Right? Because whatever energy we're putting out there, thought or emotions, everything has energy and everything is energy. And so the number one thing I would say is to breathe through your fears and do it in meditation. And the type of meditation I teach is to use the full breath. Breathe in your lower abdomen. You can do it right now. If you're listening to this, put your thumb on your navel and breathe with your lower abdomen in long, full breaths to the count of 6 or 8 seconds. And that changes the brain function. So you sit with your fear and you let yourself feel all of it and you breathe through it, just nostril breathing until the fear has dissipated. And you can drop down into any other emotions underneath that fear until it's dissolved. And then you start to access the truth of your being. Because if you feel called in some way, you might be having some cognitive dissonance. I'm very curious, I'm really interested, and I have fear. Trust the curiosity. Wherever there's curiosity, follow that. And fear, we're always going to have fear.
Yeah.
It's not unusual, so it's just breathing through it so that you can move into a deeper sense of curiosity and willingness.
Wonderful. What about how can someone? So now, okay, we have taken care of the people who don't believe in spirits. Okay, if you don't believe it, you're not going to believe it. We've taken care of people who are afraid, they're curious. Okay, let's breathe into it. Now, what about how can someone begin calling? So let's say there is some open individual out there listening to this. How can they how can someone begin on calling spiritual beings in a simple, grounded way without feeling overwhelmed?
Okay. I actually write about that in my first book, Heal Your Neck
Nice.
Issues and Let Your Throat Chakra Shine. So there it is. There's a whole chapter in there on calling in spiritual support. And first off, you want to call in someone that you feel connected with. So it can be a grandparent, a spirit who has passed on that you knew or knew of. It can also be a spiritual guide. It can be Shiva, Kali, Buddha, any being. You can call in your angel. I did a healing session on a woman years ago, and I didn't work with angels so much, but all of a sudden in the room, this angel that was almost as high as the ceiling, this giant angel showed up, and I asked her, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I said, do you believe in angels? And she said, oh, I call my angels in every day.
Wow.
So there you have it, folks. And it's believing again, but this is the way I teach it. You sit on a chair with your feet flat on the floor so you're nice and grounded, whatever grounding exercise you like to do, and you call them in behind you. And when I do chakra readings, the place that will always tell me if someone is open to spiritual support or not is in the back of the solar plexus.
Mm.
That's the energy center of truth and power and divine truth and power flowing through us. So it's like most people have these black doors that are just closed. No, they're not open. But when you're open, there's lots of light there. So we're not here to do it on our own. We need human support and we all need spiritual support. So you call them in behind you. And you can think of it like someone putting their hand on your back. If someone really cares about you and they want to offer you support, they put their hand on your back. Um, and you call them in and you can start to feel them. And it's support, you start to feel it from behind. That's the way to begin to do it. And you want to breathe first, get yourself in a nice, calm, relaxed place, and trust as much as you can that you'll feel them. And eventually, you'll start to notice physical sensations. Pay attention to yourself physically. What do you notice? How does it feel around you? And it's often very subtle in the beginning. And if you are have a disposition toward clairaudience, you might begin to hear them. There's all those clairs, but that's the place to start.
Wonderful. Part of my inner child right now is saying, ask her, ask her, ask her, who is yours? Like, so she can tell you. And I'm like, nope, keep quiet. I'm doing this podcast. Let me just go with the questions for now. So, like, the part of my little being inside me is so curious because I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like a kid in the candy store, spiritual talk, spiritual being stuff. I'm all in. But that's not my question. I'm just trying to say my experience as you're saying this. So, do you think people are already receiving guidance without realizing it?
Yes, at times, definitely, we are all supported. There is help around us all the time, and it's a matter of tuning into it. And so, again, when I do chakra readings on people, I'll see the third eye, and I have to laugh. I did a chakra reading on a woman at the end of the day yesterday, and I've never seen a third eye like this. She has this massive third eye chakra that's just gray, and she is in 100% self-doubt in her intuition and receptivity to guidance. 100%
Mm.
because when she was little, everybody else told her what to think, what to say, and she doesn't get what she wants. So she just learned to shut it down, and she has so much potential. But most people, what I see are people are trusting their intuition so much more now than 30 years ago. It's
Yeah.
people are really progressing. And so I see it as light in the front of the chakra. And then the back of the chakra is often not developed because they don't trust it. They get the guidance. And guidance and intuition are two different things, but they're both related to all the chakras and the third eye. Um, and so as they learn to trust it, and this is what I recommend, if you're getting some hits, some guidance, some intuition, first thing to ask yourself, is this something I would say myself?
Hmm.
And if it's not, you definitely want to trust it. And as you get more and more, the more you trust it and go with it, the more you'll get. So you think of yourself as opening yourself up to it. So especially if it's not something you would come up with, follow it. Follow it. Even if you're scared, especially if you're scared. Breathe
I
through
love
your
it.
fear and follow it. And that'll develop more and more for you.
Cheryl, I have a few more questions for you, but you know what? My intuition keeps telling me the same thing, which I have been saying before. Have you ever done a reading on a podcast?
Yes, I have.
Oh, really? Okay.
Twice I've done readings on podcasts.
I feel like, Cheryl, and I'm totally okay, whatever you say, whatever comes up, if you're okay with it, I would love a reading.
Okay.
I would love a spiritual reading, whatever you sense, whatever you see, any guides around me, anyone around me, anything that comes up for me today, I would love so that our audience can experience that, hey, if you call Cheryl, this is what you're going to get.
Okay. Well, if you call Cheryl, this is what you're going to get. So I'm going to put it back on you a little bit. I would love to do it. I have no problem whatsoever. I'd be thrilled. And I need a precise intention. So, and I'll tell you why. Years ago, when I used to do chakra readings, and people would say, "Oh, I just want to know what you get. I just want to know
Mm.
what you see." It's really boring.
Okay, I'll
Cut,
give you a
cut,
precise
cut.
intention.
So yes, a precise intention.
So, and I think everyone knows this already. So, years ago, I started teaching yoga. Um, 2010, precisely, started teaching yoga. And then COVID happened. And I always thought I'm gonna grow as a yoga teacher, as a meditation teacher. Today, I teach people spiritually. I work on healing their trauma. And then I get these clients, who get diseased people coming into these sessions. So my question, it's hard for a medium to ask a question. My question is, I'm trying to grow my business. because part of me is very spiritual. So I'm trying to grow my business, and my team is all spiritual beings. My entire team is spiritual beings. I rely on intuition, I rely on guidance, but I would love to know, where am I stuck as a person to grow my business spiritually?
Wonderful, wonderful. And I just want to applaud you for letting yourself be vulnerable. Here's the medium asking the question. And guess what? Coming from another medium, I have questions at times too. We're all human, fundamentally. So let's see, where are you stuck? So I say a prayer silently and I tune into you. Are you ready?
I'm born ready.
Well, the first thing that I get as soon as I tune into you, you have a lot of light in your eyes, a lot. It's a really good third eye. What's happening is you're hitting a glass ceiling, so to speak, and you've got this. You're moving with the steps of realization. You're actually really moving into unity consciousness. You keep touching into it, but your block is around. Can it really be this good? Can it really
Mm.
be this good? So you touch into that and you can even move into euphoria through your business, and then something drags you back down again. So that's the number one message that you're meant to hear today. And then I'll touch into your root chakra. I start with the root chakra and work my way up. Yeah, there's some discomfort in here, uh, at the back of the root chakra on the right. So the right side is expressive. There's some old conditioning in here, an old wound from early childhood. You've got a lot of light in this chakra. And this is so far back in your subconscious. So I would say, the root chakra is all about safety and stability, and that moves into trust and faith. And the ultimate level in the root chakra is responsibility and accomplishment, and especially responsibility of the soul, what your soul came here to accomplish. So you've got a tremendous amount of light in here. I'm like, yay, this is amazing. But at the back on the right, and it's uncomfortable there for you. So you can even tune into it yourself if you can. It's a lot of discomfort around this. Some old, could be your own trauma, a wounding back here. And what's happening, and this is probably something you've never heard of. I see at the back of your chakra, and almost every chakra I read, root chakra, is what I call the spike of purpose. And I started seeing that years ago, and a lot of young people don't have it yet. It's developed over time. And yours is very tall. Yours is very tall. I see it sort of like a long, narrow ice cream cone, like a cone shape. And
Mhm.
yours is bright light. And this wounding back here that's in the way in the back of your subconscious in the chakra. Um, it's blocking you from moving to a higher level of trust and faith and into that accomplishment. And you've pushed it back there, so it's impeding in your purpose just a wee bit, just a wee bit. So that needs to be healed. But when I come forward, you're really in your knowing. Um, bright, bright root chakra, very grounded, and you're moving forward. So I see in the root chakra forward energy, and that's forward in accomplishment of purpose. And so you've got a lot of energy moving forward. It goes about, how can I measure it? 3/4 of the way forward, and then it drops off. So you can't, your next challenge is to have that energy going continuously forward. And with this at the back there, you can't do it. So you've got a lot of good stuff going for you. And this is a painful thing that you have, pushed deep into your subconscious so you don't have to face it. So it's a
Mhm.
tricky one. It's a tricky one. And then I come up to your sacral chakra, and feel free to tell me when you want me to stop. Uh,
Oh, this is good. This is good. I like it.
all
If
right.
people want to tune out, they can, but I don't think they will because they will keep listening.
Okay. Well, and if you're listening to this, if anything resonates with you, if you notice a physical sensation in yourself, an emotion come up, then listen to my words and how they might apply to you as well. And so then I come up into the sacral chakra, and you're just a joy to witness. So the sacral chakra is all about one-on-one relationships, sexuality, sensuality, passion, relationships, especially the mother, and creativity and divine creativity flowing through you. So you have a huge, well-developed chakra here, a lot of creativity, creative light. You're glowing here, absolutely fantastic.
Yay.
But
But
and and so this is, and you could teach this. This
Mhm,
is so fantastic. You could teach divine creativity flowing through you. You know,
mhm.
you're obviously very passionate about the work you do. What's happening at the back of this chakra, energy rides up the spine. You teach yoga, the Ida, Pingala, the Shushumna. This energy is coming up from the root and it's affecting your sacral chakra. So there's a learning curve here for you. You heal this in your root chakra and let this energy come up. You're meant to grow and go deeper into something else, something that wants to be created and shared. So the energy back here is not black, but it's gray.
Mhm.
It's kind of dead. But as I move forward in the chakra, and this is you're very much, this is sort of the archetype, the master of water, the energy of love. You're very expressive in here. Really nice to see. And then I come up to the other thing I want to say about the sacral chakra, I often say to people, just plant one seed and nurture it. This is, we can plant seeds in this chakra, and you have a few seeds planted, and you've got a great garden going here, and you're nurturing it all and really developing it. So nice to see.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being who you are. And then I come up to the solar plexus, and all right. So this is, like I said earlier, this chakra is primarily about truth and power, and truth is power, and divine truth and power flowing through you. And so there's a lovely amount of light in here. You're in tune with a certain amount of truth. You've got some old conditioning still culturally around men are more powerful than women. Not okay for women to be as powerful than men, even though you're getting yourself out there. I invite you to explore what's going on in this chakra in the back at the bottom. And so when I come back here, I hear that, yes, you're tuning into your guides and everything. You can let them into this chakra, discover more of the truth of their being reflected in your being. So that's
Mhm.
something you can practice, bringing
Okay.
more light in here. And through them, we're all men and women today. It is such a fabulous time to be alive because we are, so many of us, men, not
Yes.
just the women, but the men too, exploring our roles, what it is to be male, what it is to be female, or anything in between, whatever. But all the conditioning of the patriarchy, the matriarchy, that sort of thing, and we're making, as far as I'm concerned, great headway. So
Yes.
culturally, what conditioning is still in you in here? What are the truths? Because ultimately we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all meant to be powerful in our own unique ways. We all have the divine power of God, the universe, source within
I
us,
agree. I
wanting
agree.
to be expressed. And so sometimes what happens, we take on generationally or
Makes sense.
even from past lives, but we can heal everything in this life. We don't necessarily have to go back. We can see what's in there. So this can be explored in you to discover more of your own personal power and divine power, the truth of your being. There's because of this in the back of the root chakra, you heal that, comes up to the sacral, and then you work on this next, and you'll have a much easier time once you heal what's in the root. So
Hmm.
this is nice to see. And it's interesting, your sacral chakra is so large, but the solar plexus is not as big. And I don't often see that. So lots of room to really expand here, and you can work with this chakra.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the heart, massive, very bright, lots of optimism. You have no problem being vulnerable. And I see that in the width of the heart. The width is you're really connected. Um, authenticity is a superpower for you in this heart. So much energy in the front. Bright, bright, bright light. And this is where I really see your soul moving forward, and it's going all the way. It's going all the way. When I come into the back, there's still some wounds of betrayal. You've done a lot of work around forgiveness, for sure, for sure. Um, but there's something that maybe it feels like you've worked on it and you haven't been able to forgive. So and that can be related to what's happening in the root. But what a bright chakra, very well developed, complex, beautiful. Beautiful chakra. Part of me wants to just sit back and enjoy your heart chakra. So nice to be in it. And
Thank you.
it's the chakra of unconditional love and compassion and compassion. So you're such a sweet being, so caring, so genuinely caring.
Oh, thank you. That was my affirmations for today.
There you go. There you go. And then I come up to your throat chakra, so you know how to speak right off your heart. And your voice actually comes upward. It doesn't go straight forward. It rises up. So and I just want to tune into that because I haven't seen this in this way. Yeah, you try and speak from your soul. It's high level. The energy you've learned to really express what's happening inside, expressing it out. So the energy comes up as light. So that's nice to see. This little bit of a there's a bit of a disconnect with purpose because of what's going on in the lower chakras. And then there's more that wants to be expressed, and there's a bit of gray energy right in front of that. But overall, you've developed this pathway that's fantastic. And you also, the throat chakra is very much connected with the ears, with hearing, divine hearing, hearing at a soul level. And so you've really got that going on. You have a certain amount of clairaudience. Absolutely. Because I
Yes.
see the tubes between the ears and the heart are very bright. I don't get to see that too often. So really nice.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. And then I come back up to the third eye, well developed, very bright. Um, not much else to say except what I said in the beginning. So
Yeah.
developed here, lots of brightness. And then I come up to the crown, and not surprisingly, very large, pure crown chakra. Oh, and the interesting thing, I haven't seen this before. It's almost like you have, what do you call that when not a it's like, so I'll tell you what I'm seeing.
Sure.
It's like a thin, mm,
Like a crown?
not really, but it's like a branch. like a thin ivy or something with little tiny bits of flower going around. And what I'm getting, I'm like, I haven't seen that before. What is the meaning of it? And you've accepted a certain amount of your spiritual gifts that you wear your crown differently.
Like
Like,
the
yeah,
Bohemian
yeah,
women, they
yeah,
wear that thing on
like
their head.
embellished. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So really beautiful, but wide, tall. You're one old soul for sure. One very old soul. So
Thank you.
doing your work in the world. Yeah.
Wow, you gave me so much information and you gave our audience a lot of information of what it would be like when you get a chakra reading. This was so in depth and 100% accurate, I can tell you for sure.
Awesome. Awesome.
100% accurate. Every little thing you're saying. I'm still working on my betrayal wounds 100%. Um, yeah, I'm definitely working on, I always feel like you're right. The first thing you said was, is it gonna be that good? Like, wow, can I really get this? Like, will it be this amazing? And I do get glimpses of that a lot of times. And then I come back into my old spiritual self and I'm like, oh, it's okay. Why do we need all this anyway? And then my old beliefs will come in between and be like, but that's so materialistic if I think about money. And then I keep coming back. So you're right, Cheryl. This was amazing. And thank you. How are you feeling when you actually all of a sudden just gave a reading on a podcast?
Oh, I love it. I love
Okay.
it. I'm of service. It's like you, when you're of service, you feel like $1 million. So I'm feeling fulfilled. Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Yes, the work that you're doing is amazing because a lot of people, first of all, they don't know that there are mediums out there. And I just want to say this when it comes to you and me. There are mediums out there that are reincarnated in today's world, and we are hiding as authors and speakers and yoga teachers or a professional, like we are hiding because we cannot speak our truth out there just because we feel like, or I feel like, oh, I'll be judged. But part of me, and I'm sure part of you, had to work on yourself and really show up to the world and say, hey, these are the gifts. We are getting this from the divine source, and we are just expressing it through our voice. And when I read your title in the back, Heal Your Neck Issues.
And let
And
your throat chakra shine.
yeah, I'm like, wow, we need, like, women need to understand that we need to heal our neck issues and we have to allow our throat chakra because I feel it's connected to our sexuality. It's also connected to your
That's
creativity,
correct.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to dissect because I think I dissected with the session, but audience, now you know how it feels when you actually get a reading. It's real. And I'm saying, as a testimonial, the work she's saying and everything she told me, yes, that's exactly what I'm feeling. How can people, and I have two more questions for you if you don't mind. How can people trust that the guidance that they're receiving is real and not their imagination? Especially when you're working to call your spiritual beings. A lot of times my clients would say, is that real or is that my thought?
And so there's many methods you can use. It's keep asking yourself, is this real? How do I know? And what I do is I trust my heart. So notice how your body responds. And I've never been able to successfully do muscle testing or the pendulum thing. None of that. I can control it. So I'm like, I can't trust it, but I
Mhm.
can trust my heart. And so you can put the thought in your heart. I go to the grocery store sometimes. I discovered I shouldn't eat tofu. I put it up to my heart and my body and my face kind of contract a little bit. And then when I put
Mm.
a cucumber or something better for me up to my heart chakra, my eyebrows go up and I feel much lighter. So you can put the thought, is this real? Is this thought real? And you breathe into it in your heart and you wait and believe your body is going to tell you, your body will tell you. And then you can ask yourself, is this thought real? Or you can say, this thought is real, and see how your body responds and give yourself time. And then you can say, this thought is not real, I'm making it up out of fear. And you'll get to know. You'll get to know very easily. And then eventually, you don't question anything, or you question very, very little. Like when you ask me for a chakra reading, I'm not questioning it. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. Let's do it.
Makes sense. And I was getting that question when you just started talking, and I'm like, I need to ask her. But I'm like, wait, this is a podcast. Why will I ask my reading? But I'm like, no, ask this. You've never done this before. Do it. It's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit the audience, and the audience is going to benefit Cheryl. Maybe, as people listen to her, maybe they'll be like curious, like, okay, we also want to get a reading. So something told me to do this, and that's why I did it. So thank you, Cheryl, for even saying
Wonderful.
yes to it. I have one last question for you, which is, can you share one simple practice listeners can try today if they want to open themselves up to more support from the spiritual realm?
The number one practice every day is to meditate and use the full breath. Sit up straight with your I prefer feet on the floor. Maybe as a yoga instructor, you prefer the cross-legged. But your feet on the floor so you're really good and grounded, and go inward and start to understand your experience and ask for help. Ask for help. So many of us don't ask for help because we're not used to getting it. So many of us may have grown up even with a house full of people and we felt really kind of on our own, and it's all up to us. So start asking for help. And if you can, the second step, who do you want help from?
Mm. Hmm. So they can ask from their guides or their angels or ancestors, right?
Absolutely. Jesus. A lot of
Jesus?
people ask Jesus for help. He's
Yeah.
busy.
Very cool. Cheryl, it was wonderful to invite you on our podcast. I would love to know where can our listeners find you?
You can Google search Cheryl Stelt. If you want to hop on a call with me, you can go to callwithcheryl.com. You can go to starofdivinelight.com. You can find me on social media. I think on Instagram, I'm stelt.cheryl or Stelt Cheryl. Anyway, those ways, and find me and I will find you.
And we will definitely add her information on our show notes. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for your time and for our amazing conversation and a spiritual reading that I got out of the blue, which is great. That's what spirits are for. And to all of our listeners, always remember metamorphosis, not medication. And namaste.
Thank you so much. Lots of love and light.
Thank you, Cheryl.